Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. I'm got Caspian back on the table. He's had his 05 and a bake, and we're ready to put some more coats on him now. I'm going to be putting on some warm blush. And in the meantime, while he's baking, I'm working on Emmy. Oh, I can't get these names right. And this is what she looks like so far. She's just had, I've started on her second round of enhancements because I wanted to crease her first. And I wanted to bake the creases because I had a little bit of a mishap with Caspian's creases because I creased and then immediately painted them, and it sort of brushed a little bit of it off. But so I wanted to bake her before I, did any, layers or anything on her. So I'm putting her enhancements on in 2 layers. Anyway, we're going to go on and get some paint on Caspian and try to get him duded up a little bit here and see if we can make him look good. I know I talked in the last video about the contest, and I was saying, oh, I wish it had a better turnout and all that. Well, it turns out I had a better turnout than I thought. I did find out some things that I didn't really realize were true. I'm always wondering in my videos if people are watching them. I do get watches, but I don't get very many likes. And so I was thinking, well, people must not like my videos. But I've had several people since I posted about the contest say, I watch your videos all the time. And even though I use air dry, or some of them say I'm not even painting yet, but I love to hear you talk. I never thought I'd get that response. Most people say I'm a big mouth, or I talk too much, or I'm not in my comments. I mean in real life. I've been called a big mouth. I've been called too chatty, overshare, all kinds of things. But never that they love to hear me talk. And it made me feel kind of good that people, one lady said, even though I do air dry, I turn you on and I listen to you talk while I'm painting. It's almost like I'm painting with someone. And she said, I don't have anybody to share my art with. And so, I'm just all alone and it's really, really quiet. And so I listen to you talk while I paint. And I go, well, that's good. As long as people are liking my videos, I'll keep making them. But if I ever feel like he's got a hair stuck to his head, I bet it'll fall off when he bakes. If I ever feel like people aren't watching it anymore, I'll just probably stop making them. I did delete some of my old videos. So people who are just new to my channel, or if you've been watching my newer videos and now you want to go back and watch my old videos, some of them are going to be gone. And that's because, as I progress as an artist, my videos change. And sometimes I go, I don't want people doing that anymore. I used to do that when I was, I have like over 700 videos, and that's a lot of videos. And so some of my older series on older dolls I made, I just erased them. Deleted them, or whatever you call it. And because the techniques and stuff, I've changed up some of my techniques, and I just don't want people going back and using those older techniques and thinking that it's the best way to go since I've learned a new way. Some of my new ways are just work out better, and some of them are actually look better, and it's just all different. And so some of them might just be easier to do than the old way. Like I didn't used to mix paint. I didn't use any, I just mixed the paint and paint thinner. That was it. I didn't put any excess oil in it. And see, I want people to learn the new techniques and follow those instead. And I always say you don't have to do this, but it's good because of these reasons, And so I just didn't want to keep up those old videos. I had a video that was so old, and I used to do this all the time, way back when I was a new artist. But I decided it wasn't good. And so one of the things I used to do, I know I told y'all that I put Eileen's paper glaze on the rims here so they'll slip inside the body real good and turn, and you don't have to use any rings. Well, I used to use, instead of Eileen's paper glaze, I used to use just some craft paint. And if you didn't really give that a long time to dry, the body would just stick. I just went to Walmart and got that Apple Barrel white glossy paint, and I put that on there. And I didn't even think of Eileen's paper glaze, and I was using it already as a for the lips and the nails and stuff. And so I just used that white paint, and if you didn't let it set up, I mean, a long time, the body would stick to it really bad. And I had a couple of bodies that did stick, and I had to remove the body and put another body on them because of it. And so I quit doing it because of that, because it was an extreme amount of time you had to wait. And obviously I wasn't waiting long enough. So I decided it wasn't worth it, and I switched to Eileen's paper glaze. And I don't want people going back now and watching one of them old videos and going, oh, I can do that? Yeah, that's great, because I don't recommend that now. It's just not good. And there were other things too. That wasn't the only thing. I used to root hair differently, so I erased some of my hair rooting videos. I can't decide which one of these is the one I was using first. Also, I root way different now than I'm probably going to delete almost all of my hair rooting videos. I might make a few more extra new ones because I root very differently now. And it's better, I think, than the way I used to root. When I was, a lot of those videos, a lot of the rooting videos I have up was when I was a beginner. Because I quit making videos because I go, well, I got like 12 videos of rooting. I don't need to make any more. But I root a lot different now, so I might actually make some new ones on those too. It's difficult to make videos on rooting because it just takes so long to root. Most people want to see a big bulk of your rooting. They don't want to just see, on all the videos I ever watched of people rooting, they only root a few hairs, and then they'll skip over and they'll have the heads halfway finished. But they don't explain anything about directionality or anything. They don't explain anything. So it's a little bit harder to follow because they don't tell you any of the details. They just show them putting the needle in the head and a hair going in, and then they'll do that 4 or 5 times, and the next thing you know, the head's halfway finished, and because they don't show it. And people don't understand about, I know this one lady in our group, she didn't understand. She had watched a bunch of videos, and she said, I just don't get it. The hair on her doll was just going in any direction. And because the videos don't explain that. And I was telling her, I said, you have to root according to the way you want the hair to go. And she just didn't understand what I meant. And I told her, I pointed her to one of my videos, and she went and watched it, and she said, oh, thank you, that helped me a lot. So evidently, people do need to hear the reasons why you do things and an explanation of what you're doing. Because otherwise they just don't understand why you're doing that. Because I remember watching other artists, and I'm going, what in the heck is she doing now, and why is she doing it? She didn't explain anything. She just did it. And I said, okay, well, now she's switching colors again. What's the point of that? What's she doing now? And they don't explain. And I was watching this one person's video series, and she was making a doll. She was making Caspian, as a matter of fact. That's how I realized Caspian would be a great doll to make, because he doesn't have a lot of creases and stuff. That was the reason she gave for making him. She said a lot of Bountiful Baby dolls have too many creases, but Caspian did not, and he was a great kit to make. And I go, I got to get me one of those. I got me a Caspian right after I watched her video. But in her video, she was doing a lot of layers. What she was doing was washes. She did some modeling washes, and she did some just plain solid washes. And they were very, very thin and watery, almost like watercolors. And she had to do many, 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 many layers. But what she was doing was not explaining anything. She just got out her little paint palette tray and mixed a bunch of colors in it. And then she just, okay, I'm going to do a red layer. Okay, now I'm going to do a blue layer. Now I'm going to do a purple layer. And she didn't explain anything. And I was having trouble following her because of that. And then all of a sudden she's mixing yellows and greens, and I'm going, why in the world is she putting a green on her doll? And she did not explain why she was doing it. And then about 15 steps later, she said, well, I finally neutralized that mistake I made. Oh my goodness. She didn't tell us she had a mistake. You know, it's like, if you don't have a mistake and you're following her, then there you go. You've done messed your doll up, putting something on it that you didn't need. But she didn't explain. I'm putting green on now because I've made this mistake and he's too orange, or whatever she did, you know. And it's just a fact that you're not going to mix your paint exactly the same way she mixed hers. Obviously, she mixed it a little too orange or something. And when she put it on the doll, it made him look orange, and she decided, oh, I need to neutralize that a little bit. And so she started putting all these different colors on him, and she didn't explain why she was doing it. And another thing she did is she didn't use, like, say you wanted to use a red color. She'd mix her red. And well, not red, because red's a primary color, but instead of using, let's say, purple, she'd take blue and red and mix them together to get her purple. She mixed every color. And she wanted to darken one of her paints by using black, and she didn't have black, so she mixed black. And everybody knows that when you're mixing black, I mean, I thought everybody knew this, but she did not know this, obviously. She couldn't get her black to turn black. The way you make black is, it's 1/2 of it is blue. And you know, red, yellow, and blue go together to make every color there is. And so she wanted black, so she needed to mix 1/2 blue, 1/4 yellow, and 1/4 red. But she was putting equal amounts of everything, and it was not turning black, and she couldn't figure out why. She ended up mixing almost a whole little jar about this size of black. That much black, maybe even more than that. And then she took one little dot of it and put it in her red paint and threw out the rest. And I thought, well, that's wasteful. I don't want to do it that way. Anyway, I couldn't follow her. I just couldn't. She went really, really fast. And when I say fast, I mean she was speeding. Every color that she put on her doll, she creased them with that color too. She had a little skinny brush, and she had a sponge. Sponge, 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 swipe, swipe, swipe. And I mean, so fast. And then she would do another color and another color and another color. And then she'd stick the arms in the oven to bake. And I mean, it was real confusing. I just could not follow her. And to me, explanations are just super important, I think. And you know, if you're doing something new, especially that you haven't been doing, you need to explain to your viewers what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if they can't understand what you're doing, they're not liable to do it. I mean, I don't think they would be. I wouldn't be. I was lucky in that I was just watching her. I wasn't actually making a doll with her because she moved too fast. I had planned on just watching the entire series and then going back and starting it over and following her. But I said, there is no way I'm following that. It is too fast paced. It is no explanation. It's just too hard to follow. I just can't do it. And so I just abandoned even watching the rest of her videos after and she had another problem too in her video. She had granules in her paint and she couldn't get it out. And she said, every time I make the doll, you know, puts paint on my doll and then bake it, I get these little black spots. And she said it was because little granules of paint were not dissolving, and it was causing it to burn when she baked it, and it was making these little black spots. And so she was trying to fix that as well. And if you're not having that problem, it was just hard. That's all I can say. And that was about the same time as I decided I was going to start making my own videos. I thought, I think it would be beneficial to people if you kind of went at a slower pace, you kind of talked about it a little bit, made them a little more. And she was almost silent the entire time. She never said hardly 5 words in the entire video. She was just painting away silently, looking down at the doll, and I don't know. It was just weird. I don't know. And then I saw this other lady. This was way back, a long time ago, and she mixed up a huge, almost like a bucket, like an ice cream bucket, about that big, a gallon ice cream bucket, full of her flesh color. And she just took a big old paintbrush like you'd paint your wall with or something. And she held the head upside down, and she just went swiping it like this over the top of the bucket, and it's just running off the doll. And I thought, I mean, you literally can't do everything you see in a video. And I said, well, I definitely don't want to paint that way. And I just got super confused on what am I supposed to even do. This is just confusing. And so I decided, out of all the videos I watched, I'm going to try to take something away from every video and formulate my own plan. And so I watched a lot of videos, and some of them I just couldn't take anything away from them that I could use, that I thought I could use. And so I finally decided one day that I was ready to paint. And I sat down and I mixed up some paint, and I just decided, this doll came out pretty good. I'm going to try to do it again. Well, the next doll didn't come out that good. And I thought, what I really need is what I would call a repeatable process. A process that I can do that no matter which doll kit I pick up, I'm going to get great results. And I started working on that. I started tweaking my paint a little here and a little there until I decided that this is the shade of this color that I want. And I figured out that the order you put it on the doll mattered, and I figured out a lot of things on my own because I just could not follow most painters because they've already tweaked up their process and they're pretty much just doing it while you watch them. And I thought, okay, a little explanation would be good. I don't sit here and just explain every single thing I do on every single video because, well, most everybody that watches my channel is very, very used to it. Now, I do repeat a lot of things because new people could be starting to watch a video, and the one you're on could be the very first video they're watching. So that, to me, that says they need to hear something like what color you're using, like when I was doing the fingers on this doll and I was explaining how I was doing it and everything. What if you never ever did fingers on a doll before? And you'd think I'd lay these down where I knew which one was the one I was supposed to use first, but no, I can't do. But anyway, and you didn't know, why in the world is she doing that? What is she even doing, And about creasing and about all that stuff that people just don't know those things. They're just brand new to painting. And so I thought, well, explanations are required. And so that's why I explain a lot, in case you wanted to know. Anyway, I just know that that's what I would want in a video. I would want somebody to be telling me, okay, exactly how are you using that pencil to crease that doll? Exactly what color are you using? And why does your pencil point look like that, instead of being super sharp? I explain that stuff almost every time I use my pencil because I want people to understand. And I know I wouldn't understand. Maybe it's just me as a person, I don't know. that can't understand things. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I do. And I really, really love making dolls. It's my hobby, and I do it for that reason. I certainly cannot keep every doll that I make, even though I would really love to. I love my dolls. I think they're beautiful, and I would love to be able to keep every single doll that I make, but it's just not practical, for one thing, because your house would just be overrun with dolls everywhere if you kept every single doll you make. Now, some people only make just dolls they want and just dolls they're going to keep, and so they go at a slower pace than me. But I realized a while back that I really love to donate dolls. I love to be able to help people in great need. And so I donate a lot of dolls to nursing homes, and it's costly. And so therefore, I need to recoup some money from some of the dolls that I make and sell them at a big enough profit that I can continue to make more dolls. I need to buy kits and paint and polyfill and bodies and eyes and all the things I need to make dolls. And I just can't afford to keep footing the bill for all that stuff without making some, recouping some money back. I don't have to make a huge profit on my dolls. I don't ask a huge amount of money for them. And, I feel kind of an obligation to at least keep my dolls affordable, because I feel like a lot of people buy them for their little girls for their birthdays and Christmas and stuff. And just thinking about that little girl's not going to get a doll because it was too expensive kind of breaks my heart, kind of. I'm just too giving, too, what do you call it? Soft. I'm soft. I feel, I can't even tell which one's the one I was using first. I feel like, that little girl deserves to get that doll for Christmas, and I don't know. If my dolls are too expensive, they're not going to sell. Nobody's buying right now. Dolls are just not selling. But I'm trying to bump up my inventory, because they will start to sell, and when they do, I want to be ready with a large variety of dolls. I do have more than one of some of the dolls, but I'm trying to make the dolls that I don't have one already represented in my store, because, it gives you more chance to sell something. If you have 12 Madisons, 12 people might not want a Madison. But if you have one Madison and one Spencer and one, 12 different dolls, you have a better chance of selling those dolls. Unless the doll that you have 12 of is super popular. If I had another Michael, I can tell you what, I'd make him right away. He's in 4 people's carts. He's got like a 28 watchers. He's got 1,500 views. I mean, somebody's buying that doll, and soon. One of those people's going to break down and buy him. One lady keeps asking me to trade, and I keep trying to explain to her that I don't put my dolls up in a store to trade for another doll. The whole idea of doing is that I want to sell the doll that I have up. And she wants that doll so bad, and I do feel bad for the lady. She told me she was on Social Security. Well, so am I. And she told me that she couldn't afford the doll, and I do understand that. But that she really, really wanted it. But she's got 4 or 5 dolls she tried to trade with me. And I don't want to trade a doll. I don't need another doll. I got 70-something dolls posted right now. And that doesn't even count the ones that are in my own collection. These are ones I just made for selling. And if I start trading dolls, all I'm doing is swapping what doll I have for another doll. And I don't really want that. I'm not making them. I don't need another doll to add to my collection. And if I'm just going to sell the doll I have anyway, I don't need to swap to sell it. I mean, And so I keep telling her no, but she keeps on asking me, how about this? Will you swap for this? How about her? She offered me up 3 or 4 different dolls, and I'm going, she got to pick from 70 dolls which one she wanted to trade, and she's only going to offer me the one she wants to trade for it. I don't think that's fair. If she's going to want to trade a doll with me, and she's going to just pick, and she's going to pick the doll I trade with, then I'm going to pick the doll she trades with. But I don't want to make a trade anyway, so I said no. So then she started offering me different dolls. How about this one? Will you trade for this one? No. I keep explaining to her, I need to sell my doll. Just as much as you want the doll without having to pay money for it, I want the doll sold and I need the money. And she just keeps asking. She asked again yesterday, would I swap for another Michael? She wants to swap Michael. And I said, well, he's in 4 carts and he's got this many watchers. And she said, yeah, but one of the carts he's in is mine. I said, so? And then she tried to get me to sell it to her for $114 shipped. I said, no. I can't pay the shipping for you because at $114, let's see if I can do this math. Bountiful Baby. eBay charges 13% on your money. So on $100, they're going to get 13 of them. And then I also boosted my listing, promoted my listings by 7%, which makes it 20% they're going to get. So, and that's 20% on the shipping and the tax and everything, not just the price of the doll. So let's say, just for rounding up figures, that the doll's going to cost $100 and the shipping's going to be $25 and the tax is $10. That's $135. So then they're going to take their 20% first. Then they're going to deduct back off the tax because you don't get that. It goes straight to eBay and they pay it on your behalf. And then they're also going to deduct off the amount for the shipping because they're giving you a label instead of you collecting the shipping. Okay, so you're probably down to $75 by now. And then she wants you to pay the shipping, which is like $15 to $25 depending on what kind of box you use, how heavy it is, where it's going. There's considerations. So right off the bat, $25 more is coming off of because you're paying the shipping. So now it's down to $50. Now, if you consider how much you paid for the kit, and Michael I bought, he's not in stock. He's one of those dolls that was discontinued from the other factory. And so he came in a group buy. And I figured up in that group buy that most of the dolls were around $40 to $50 each because of the price that I paid for the whole lot of dolls together. And then there was shipping on it and all that. So I'm already in the negative. And I didn't even get the body. I didn't even get the stuffing and the glass and all in the clothes he's going to be wearing. They're wanting you to go backwards on your stuff. People do not realize how much it really costs to make a doll. And I bet most of you don't realize it either. I didn't realize it till I got a piece of paper. I'm going to go over it, I think, because it's a lot when you consider everything. It's a lot more than you think because you're not considering everything. It costs a lot to make a doll. And when I make dolls, I try not to make dolls that I'm specifically going to take to the nursing home because, well, it's you may end up with some dolls that you didn't sell, and after you've carried them a long time and they don't sell, you kind of think they're not going to sell. And so those are the dolls I donate to the nursing home. It's like, okay, it's Christmas time. I'm hoping to sell this many dolls. Let's say 100. Let's say I wanted to sell 100 dolls, but I only sold 75. And that's a tall order right there to sell just 75 dolls. and you have 25 left over. Those are the ones that you should donate because, well, they didn't sell. And I sometimes go, this doll is still very nice. I think that it will sell. It just hasn't had enough time. I'll dress it in some different clothes and retake the pictures and post it back up because I think I can still sell it. And then on the second go round, if it doesn't sell, then it's definitely a donate. And that way you sell the dolls that will sell, and you still help I don't want to say underprivileged, but people in need. Let's put it that way. And you get, you can still count the cost of those dolls you donated off on your expenses on your tax return. Because believe me, if you sell a lot of dolls, they're going to send you a tax return. And that's any format you use. They're required by law now to do that. They didn't used to be required. But there are special forms that you can file. Let's say you sold all of your dolls at a loss. And you did it because, well, you just want to recoup some of your money. You're not trying to make a profit. And there are special forms that you can fill out on your tax return that say, I donate most of my dolls, but these I sold. And there's also people who sell on those formats who they're not even selling dolls. They're selling their used clothes or, their kids' used clothes or something. And if you're selling something that would be equal to a yard sale item and you're not asking the full price for it, then you're not even making a profit at all. And there's a form you can fill out for that too, where you say, I'm just selling things from my house, like a vase or a set of dishes or some silverware or whatever you're selling. And I'm just getting a fraction of what I paid for it. And there's a special form for that too. But you better be careful filling out those forms. I did tax returns for many years, and IRS on certain conditions automatic audit if you fill out certain forms, because they're just going to think everybody's filling out this form because they don't want to pay taxes. So they're going to investigate some people, and they're going to say, show me what you sold. Give me some evidence. And you can get it plenty if you're selling on a format like eBay or Mercari or Etsy or Reborns.com or whatever format you're using. You can actually show them some records that shows what you sold, and they're going to want to see them. And so I'm not saying anybody would cheat, but people do cheat, and they just take chances on, they're probably not going to audit me, but they audit more than you think. But anyway, Caspian is now painted again. He's looking really good. I'm going to get him in for his bake, and while he's baking and I'm off camera, I'm going to work on Emmy a little bit more. I have her over here on the rack. She's partially painted, and he came out of the oven and he was cool. And I said, I'm making a video on him, so I need to go on and do him, before I do her. But I'm going to do a little more work on her and get her a bake as well. She hasn't even gotten the first layer of paint yet. She's still on enhancements. But anyway, I want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.